my wife and I, before children, we moved to Baltimore. We were living in Baltimore. We were kind of exploring everything that there is in Maryland. And we read about, I think it was the Tea Party Festival. And so we decided we're going to come to Chestertown and check it out. You know, before you have kids, you can just pick up and do those sorts of things. And we came to saw the end of the Tea Party Festival and just kind of explored. And we loved the place. I think that night we went as far as Rock Hall, got dinner in Rock Hall. And it kind of always stuck in our craw. We remembered it. We liked it. And my wife, being an Ocean City person, always kind of the Eastern Shores always had an appeal to us. And then when kids got to a certain age, it was time to leave the city to go to a safer community. And we cast a wide net, and Chestertown always kind of stuck there to us. And we liked it. And for some reason, it just always seemed to be on the table. And so we ended up taking the leap and moved to Chestertown. Yeah, I was very interested in the history of the town. And when you find out that it was one of the original royal ports of entry, and just walking around down here, you get that feel of history in this town. And for me, being a history buff, that was very interesting to me. Let's see. Currently, I work for the state. I'm a licensed social worker. I finished the master's program at Salisbury in May of 2020, and I currently work with the state. I've previously worked at the Whitsitt Center doing inpatient drug and alcohol treatment. Right now, my desk is in Annapolis, but I only have to go in twice a week. Previous to that, I worked in Baltimore City doing intensive mental health treatment, outpatient mental health treatment in the city. And before that, when I was living in Virginia, I worked with in juvenile group homes, a juvenile detention center, things like that. I was involved in the Historic District Commission for a couple of years, a few years back. And again, that's really what I learned, that there's a lot going on in Chestertown that if I hadn't been there, I probably would have never known about. Some of the history of the buildings and the people and the whole community that's going on here. And I really enjoyed being in on it, being part of it, knowing what was going on before anybody else did. So yeah, and that kind of sparked my interest in getting more involved in the community and what goes on in here. Ward 3, I think it's the largest ward, it's the most diverse ward, it's the fastest growing ward in the town, and that there's a lot of potential there. We need to make sure that the Arts and Entertainment District, it definitely needs to be expanded. How far up High Street it goes, I don't think Royal Farms needs to be included in that, but it definitely needs to be expanded, and growth needs to be promoted along High Street. Because if you come to town for the Tea Party Festival or one of the other festivals that we have here, you need a reason to stay. You come, you have fun, and you're going to want to get dinner. You're going to want to get something to eat. And we have a handful of restaurants here that on an event like that are going to get slammed. So if we could go further up High Street, develop up High Street, give people more to explore, more things to do, they're going to want to come back of their own accord for something that isn't related to a big event. And the High Street corridor is a great place to do that. And of course, the other issues of just making Chestertown an appealing place to live. With the growth that's happening up in that ward, making sure that people want to come here. Whether you want to come here to start a family like I did, or your idea is to come here to retire, you need to make sure that this is the place that you want to be. And I think having that college here in town, that's a factory of young, educated talent. And we need to learn how to keep that resource here in town as best we can. One of the things that got me interested in Chestertown politics was there needs to be a sidewalk along Flatland Road. I've advocated for that for probably shortly after I moved to Chestertown. And honestly, it looks like something that just as the town expanded that way, just got overlooked. But it's dangerous up that way. Anytime, day or night, on my way down here, I think I saw a couple of people walking along that road. I've used to ride my bike when my kids could still tolerate me. You know, teenagers don't like their parents, but I used to ride my bike to Sonny's Mart. And we'd sit there and we'd get some ice cream and ride our bikes back. And that was dangerous to do with a couple of kids. So there definitely needs to be a sidewalk along Flatland Road. It's a safety issue. if nothing else, because someone's going to get hit if it hadn't happened already. Someone's going to get killed or seriously hurt along that road. Yeah, we did talk a little bit about the tax differential. Long story short, it sounds like if you live in town, you're getting double dipped. You're paying a tax to the town, you're paying a tax to the county. And it's like us, Ocean City, and someone else that are the only jurisdictions in the whole state that are still in that position. That's got to stop. That's detrimental in so many ways to the town. Oh yeah, we need good relationships with lots of people. The county commissioners, for one, most immediately, and occasionally there's going to be situations that arise that maybe the state will be able to help us out with. For instance, if we ever run into issues like the tax differential issue, if for whatever reason that can't get resolved in the courts, do we need to take this to the state to change the law? Because unless there's some unique reason that Chestertown and Ocean City are unique in, maybe the whole law just needs to be changed. And that would be something that our state representatives would be able to help us with. Yeah, that I think is one of the most pressing challenges in town right now that you go through. And I understand COVID didn't help this any, but we've got a lot of empty storefronts. People are afraid of growth in Kent County. Well, that's not a problem we really have right now because we've got so many empty storefronts. You know, where Peebles used to be, something needs to be there. So if you need to buy a shirt or a pair of socks, that you have a place to go. That's not an hour, doesn't take you half hour to get to and a half hour to get back up in Walmart. The first thing I would do is reach out to some of the companies that left. Why did you leave exactly? When Rita's closed down almost 8 years ago now, I heard lots of rumors about why they left. So I actually reached out to the Rita's corporate office, and they told me that they were perfectly happy staying in Chestertown, but the owner of the building wanted to leave. And again, this was a long time ago, but I remember that thinking to myself, okay, if someone buys that building, maybe Rita's will come back. But Rita's is just still sitting there. And it's certainly nobody's driving through that part of town looking at an empty Rita's saying, this is where I want to be. And reach out to why did you leave? Or I know several people who are small business owners, and sometimes there's what's called the miracle question. Ask someone, if I had a magic wand and I can give you everything you wanted, what would it take for you to move your business to Chestertown? And you'll come up with some good ideas. If taxes are too high, is that something we could use that COVID money for? Helping someone renovate a building, helping someone, whatever it takes.
Rent's high.
Rent, is there something we could do to offset the cost of rent? And some of the construction that goes along. If someone needs to renovate, let's just use the old Olympia for a minute. If someone decides that could potentially go to that old Olympia Sports, but they need to refurbish it. If you hire someone locally to put in a new HVAC system, a new electrical work, a new whatever, if you hire someone locally, that money will stay here in Chestertown. Someone in Chestertown will have jobs that they're going to use to buy lunch at the Chestertown restaurants. And Chestertown will have a new restaurant, for instance. And figuring out what it is that would take someone to come here to Chestertown. And there's 1,000 reasons why it isn't feasible for them to do. Okay, but let's talk about what it would take in the event that you do decide to move. The town put a lot of money into the marina. Now that it's up, what are we going to do with it? That's a great place for people to come. If you own a boat, come across the bay, spend a day in Chestertown. If you're over there, what brings you into town? How do you get into town to eat at one of the restaurants or shop at one of the shops? Making the most out of that. Because God knows we put a lot of money into that. We need to make sure that we get that money back. And that's one thing, making sure that the college is helping. And again, the college has been a great resource for us. How do we help them? How can they help us? How can we